So, the idea is air pollution is there. Everybody is discussing government strategies, this and that. And I feel that we have to more worry about what we can do to protect ourselves and our families. Let's not worry about what the rest of the world does. So let me pick up from where we left last time. I had shown this image and many people felt, it was, what is this? I said, this is the world's most expensive error. And this is an official US government. And error is a big word because there's nothing like error as scientific error. This is a hair, and these are the dust particles that cause damage. So this is called particulate matter 10, PM10, and that's the size of PM10 particles. And these are very small: dust, pollen, and mold. And even smaller are these PM 2.5 particles. So 2.5 micron and smaller, these are PM 2.5. So generally the thinking with this image people get is this PM10 particles cause all the damage. And PM 2.5 particles, this is particulate matter 2.5 micron. That's what stands for PM 2.5. So when you read in the paper also PM 2.5, all the government policies, all the strategies, all the air pollution removing science is using PM 2.5. Okay, and the problem is PM 2.5 has become so much of a focus for all this that PM 2.5, these big particles, the technology is being looked at removing this. Okay, now let me show you what the problem is. Your eyes obviously cannot see below 30 microns. So PM10 is one thing. Now particulate size matter PM10 is actually not 10 micron particles. It's all the particles that exist in the world that are 10 microns or smaller. So everything smaller than this is PM10. Everything smaller than this is PM 2.5. And in the figure, if you see, PM 2.5 was shown as this particle, but actually it is all particles below this. And PM10 was shown as this particle, this size particle, but it's everything below. So PM 2.5 is also PM10. Now, what are the implications? What is the reason our health is at jeopardy in that? Is because of this next slide. The problem is it's not PM10 that cause all the problems or PM 2.5. Officially they do, but it's not PM 2.5. It's PM 2.5's the smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller versions of it. PM 0.1, which is 25 times smaller than PM 2.5, which is 100 times smaller than PM10. That is going to really cause the first level of problem. You saw this slide last time. This is PM10 and this is PM 2.5. It goes in lungs and you get respiratory problem and all that. You don't get any PM 2.5, PM1, any of these problems. These are all respiratory. You will not get heart attack. You will not get stroke with any of these particles. This entire band will, even if you remove these particles, nothing will happen. In fact, PM 0.1 is also not where it is. The science shows that the particles that enter your blood, that is, they can cause heart attack and stroke. I showed you last time that that's a big problem. All the inflammatory conditions due to air pollution that are caused happen because of particles which are 300 times smaller than the particles world is talking about. And so what is going to happen is the entire world is trying to develop technologies to protect you, and none of them will protect you because you need to be 100 times smaller. I hope you understand. It's like you build society gates to stop. You say, well, cows and bulls, we don't want those animals to come in. So you build them society gates like that. So cows, dogs, and all those things cannot come. And imagine the real enemy being cockroach. And they come through because they're 100 times smaller than them. They are 300 times smaller than cows and bulls. And so all of a sudden, the entire defense mechanism, the entire technologies you have developed, the entire deployment around the world that world will do will be about the security gates to stop animals of the size of buffaloes and cows. And actually the animals that will harm you will be mosquitoes and cockroaches, and they will come unhindered. So we'll spend trillions of dollars, and we already lost 100 million people, and we'll probably lose 1 billion lives because we cannot use the society gates to stop the enemy. The enemy is going to kill you and me. And so that's why I was calling that image as the world's most costliest error, you could say. I mean, they were right in officially saying that it's particle, but when you show a particle of the size, you say this enemy is, and then you show a bull, people think that that's the size you have to worry about. It's not the bull that you have to worry about. It's a mosquito which is 1,000 times, 100 times smaller than the bull. Okay. So I hope I answered that question. And so look at this. This is the danger. Everyone thinks the blue range is the range you need to remove from air. Actually, it's the blue range, the yellow part that you need to remove. And so I know it's getting a little technical, so I don't want to, but some of you are engineers, you probably understand. I just want to tell you that, look at this image. So this is, they're showing a bull that our society gates will stop a buffalo. They're showing all these big dogs, you know, Alsatian dog. Actually, your enemy is a mosquito. So it's completely useless. It's you know, everything government is talking about, everything scientists are talking about, it completely useless. Your enemy is not the cows and dogs. Your enemy is the mosquito. You need a completely different way to stop it. And so this is just a picture of this. Now, sometimes people say, well, I'll dust my flooring, I will clean the surfaces. Will it help? Now, this is another slide. How long does a dust particle stay in air? If it is 100 micron particle, that is 10 times the size of the bull. You know, the bull is 10 micron. That 10 times the size of the bull, the elephant, it will fall to ground in 6 seconds. Once you leave it in the air, it will fall 6 seconds. You know, if you drop a feather also, it will drop in 6 seconds. When it's of the size of the bull, that dust particle, if it goes in air, it will fall in 1.5 hours. It will take 1.5 hours on an average, but it will come down, tung, 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 it will fall. If it's of 3 micron, that is 2.5 micron, it will take maybe 10 hours. If it's 1 micron or 0.5 micron, you're going to need 2 days. This is 0.5. 0.5 is 20 times smaller than the bull. The enemy is 300 times smaller than the bull. So your enemy will never fall on the floor. Your enemy will never fall on the table. So you cannot dust and wipe it. It will stay in air. If I close your room and go away and come back after 100 years, all the small particles, the enemy particles, will be completely in air. They will not settle at all. You know, 1,000 years, they will not settle at all. They are so light that just air molecules can keep them in air. And so you cannot dust them by a sweeping floor and washing and all that. They will stay in air. And only way to remove them from air is by you breathing them, okay, or ventilating. Now, just to tell you, there is something called air quality in this, and don't go into the details. You can just see green is good, yellow and orange start getting bad, red and purple are really bad, very bad, and maroon is obviously hazardous. So just remember the colors, and you don't need to remember also. There's a machine. I mean, this is like a air, what we call air measuring, pollution measuring machine. You don't need to buy it. It's just, you can measure, you can type. You saw that previous image. Here I wrote, if you type in Google AQICN, air quality index, CN is sort of the Chinese website, so it's CN, and you type the name of your city, you will usually see a graph, or not a graph, a map which will show numbers, red, maroon, and there'll be some numbers in it. It will show you the air quality in last 30 minutes. It'll be almost live data. And so this is the machine. I have one in my hand, and it will show, right now it shows some pollution number of 63. I don't have the pollution meter on, machine on. It's behind me. Didn't have it on because it's a little, when you talk. And so that measures the air pollution. Just to tell you how it looks like, this is when the pollution meter shows 30, this is how outside will look. And when the pollution meter shows 250, this is how the outside look will look. Now, just to tell you how things look in the world, this is one day I just took the picture. You see on the left top is Europe, pretty clean, green. India and China are red and maroon and bad air. And this is India. I mean, you can see it's not just problem in North India. It's also Central India, it's South India. This was Mumbai, because I live in Mumbai, so I'm showing Mumbai picture. Like 171, this is 125, somewhere here. So I live somewhere here, so it's like 130. It's not safe. 50 is the safe level. I'm just extremely unsafe here I'm living in. And so you remember these colors, right? The red and maroon, and everything is bad. So you can't run away. I can't come to your house and it'll be cleaner, or I can't go to some other part of Mumbai and it'll be cleaner. Pretty much everywhere things are bad. And you have no choice. New Bombay. Just to give you perspective, how bad that means, that is, scientists have actually managed to convert this air pollution into equivalent cigarettes. So one day I measured the pollution, there is an app, mobile app, which tells me in which city the air, how bad it is for smoking, like, how equivalent it is to smoke. So that day, Moradabad, if you lived in, you had smoked 15 and a half cigarettes that day. Every single person, elderly people, smaller people, younger people, everyone was smoking that. And I stay at car, and in my area, it was almost 5 cigarettes, So this chart, I converted into a cigarette chart. I said, hey, what about this? So when it's green, you are not really smoking anything. So you have no problem. But yellow means every day you're smoking 2 to 3 cigarettes. So you can imagine the damage you will have in 3 years, 5 years. And everybody in your family is smoking. Children are smoking more because they're more vulnerable. And, this red and maroon and green, you're smoking 10 and 12 cigarettes. So every day you live there, this is just a map of some Mumbai colors. And you can see every day it's bad. It's, so every single day you're smoking so many cigarettes. So that's like a disaster. Now, just to tell you again, we covered it last time, so I won't spend time on it. But this is what is called a life expectancy reduction. So white color everywhere in the world shows how much less you will live because of the pollution. Everything else staying same, air pollution will reduce your life. So how much will it reduce? So this is the map. So red and maroon, you can see it on the right side. This is like 6, red, maroon. And so India, pretty much, China is not as bad as India. India North is like pretty much red. You can be living 6 years less because you're living in North India, for example. So this is coming to, India, average life expectancy is 6 years. Just because you live in India, you are going to live 6 years less. And it will be more in North and less in South, but pretty much everywhere it's 2, 3, 4 years anyway. North India, like Delhi, that number is 10 years. So if you live in Delhi, you will live 10 years lesser. Now you will say, well, I have a friend in Delhi, he's going to live the same. He's also 60 years old, I'm also 60. Sure, that's because he's lived 60 years of his life in 40 years back, there was less pollution. So he lived in less polluted area. If a child is born today in Delhi, it will live 10 years lesser than it would live if it's in USA. That's what it means. So if you have lived 20 years already in India in your life, then it's lesser life left. So reduction in the remaining life, and the previous life did not reduce as much. So I hope you get it. So a child born in Delhi will live 10 years younger, will die 10 years earlier. If you take that child in Singapore, or you take that child and put him in Canada, it will live 10 years more. Mumbai, that number is 4 years. So if a child is born in Mumbai, that will be 3.6 years. It will live less because of the pollution here. And if pollution gets worse tomorrow, it's really bad. So now coming to the solution part. So I talked about that what is happening, we get inflammation, and because these small particles are coming in, we get this chronic inflammatory conditions, which are heart disease, dementia, cognitive decline, type 2 diabetes, obesity. Asthma is like not a life-threatening thing, but it's bad. Rheumatoid arthritis, basically all inflammatory conditions, cancer. And so another point I also said last time is your home can be 5 times more polluted than outside air, because there are things inside. Sometimes you have birds in your house, so you have a dog that has dander. There's a mold in your house, maybe some fungus somewhere. Maybe you put incense sticks and you pray. So sometimes you have candles there. Sometimes you have mosquito repellent. Sometimes you have Odomos. Somebody sneezes in the house. Outdoor, that virus will not survive. It will go out. But if somebody sneezes in your house, that virus stays in your house. And so this is to show you how air pollution will bring the problem down. Now this is, I told you, AQIC and Mumbai you type, you'll get Mumbai's pollution level. AQIC and Paris, if you type, you'll get the Paris pollution map. So you type wherever and you can feel. Now don't think that pollution changes too much. It's just over a 2-kilometer radius, it pretty much stays the same, except absolutely on the road. When you are on the road, it might be more because of dust, but in general, pollution doesn't change building to building or society to society. Okay. Now this is the left side is the pollution number, red color 171, which was outside my window. Middle was red color 4, which was in my bedroom. Okay, so 171 was outside, 4 was in my bedroom. And at the same time, online, I got the pollution in Geneva and Stockholm and Auckland and Paris and all over. And you can see these numbers. So they were really good quality air everywhere. So Mumbai was very bad outside my window, 171. Everywhere else it was fantastic. I mean, some places red, and maybe Vienna had some traffic that time wherever they measured it, but generally low. And my room was 4 times better than that. and my room was better than the best place in any of these world's capital. And that's the effect air purifier can do to your room. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, I know, but I can't sit in my room all the time. I'm going to be going out and all that. So I'm just showing you what happens in normal 24 hours of your life. See, this is average pollution is 106 at this level. It's 24 hours of your life. So you, late night, see, this is 12 o'clock in the night. So slowly you're sleeping. Let's say pollution is 100. I'm taking that average. This is the India average. So this is just to show you what happens in India. Now you got in your car, you drove for 1 hour, went to the office. And so when you were in the car, there was more pollution because outside pollution on the road was higher. Then again in your office or clinic or wherever the pollution is normal, same as that, just assumption. And then again, night you sat in the car, evening, you came home, it was higher. So your average pollution was not 100, little more than 100, 106. Now if you use an air purifier, see what happens, your bedroom time and all that came down to whatever, 4 it was, low. Same thing in your, if you have a car air purifier, I'm just showing, so you use one in the car, that level came down. So here you went, the reason I'm putting a spike here is you went for a morning walk. Now, obviously morning walk means outside air. So you had to take outside pollution. And here you went for something, you went to some friend's house or something, you went for a 1 hour outing, let's say, on an average. And so to this you could not control, office you could not control. Rest of the times you control. Now your average from 106 came to 43. If you have one air purifier in your office also, many people can have it. And there is like a CA or a lawyer or a doctor, they can control because they are in their own chamber. And in that you reduce it. Now your average pollution level is 15. From 106 you brought it to 15. Remember, it's not remember the problem of pollution is long term. So it is what you did throughout the day. It didn't matter what you did at 8 in the morning or 7 in the evening. What was the average exposure? When you talk about smoking 3 cigarettes a day, equivalent, that means you're smoking those 3 cigarettes over 24 hours. Every 8 hours you're smoking a cigarette. So you don't inhale fast. It's like a very slow inhalation. And so suddenly your average pollution is 1/6. You smoked 1/6 less cigarettes than what you were smoking in the normal thing. So you were smoking, say, 3 cigarettes. Now you're smoking less than half cigarette in this. And so your risk also, this is just a chart I plotted. So if this is your chances of dying, I'm sounding very depressive. It's depressing. So this was the pollution level 106. Now it has come down from here to this with home and car air purifiers. And if you use it in your clinic also, this is what it has come to. So those of you who can control the environment, it's exactly like that. And so that was my point. Now, how does an air purifier work? I'm going to quickly now wrap up in a few points, and then I have some interesting stuff to talk further. See, now this is how an air purifier would be. It removes the dirt first, followed by a physical filter. It's a filter which removes the dirt. And then there is a chemical filter. Our water purifiers also have that. A candle removes the physical problem. And then there is some chemical thing, reverse osmosis, it removes stuff. So same thing here. This will remove the gases and this will remove the particles, and clean air comes out from the other end. Now, there are 3 things to check in an air purifier. Typically, how do you decide on air purifier? Normally, it's just very difficult for a lot of people to know because they just don't know. And I also struggled with it 4 years back when I started learning this field, because you don't know, right? It's like buying a car for a person who doesn't know how to buy a car. What should I check? Mileage should I check? Should I check after sale service? Should I check engine ka capacity? Should I check what? I mean, dicky ka size? Should I check what? The passenger's capacity, accident proof thing. What should I check? So there are 3 things you need to check. What is the technology used for cleaning? How do you clean the air? So technology is right. Then you go to what is the smallest particle size to be cleaned? As I told you, we need certain size to be removed, not PM10, not PM2.5, not PM1, not PM0.5, not PM0.1, not PM0.05. We need to remove 0.03, 300 times smaller than the big bull. Our society needs to go 300 times smaller than the bull that is trying to enter. So we need that thing to be removed. And then finally, what is the cleaning capacity? So cleaning capacity is not as important as the technology used to clean and the smallest particle. So there is something called high efficiency particulate arrestor, or HEPA. And these are the filters. This goes inside the filter. This is like a very thick jali, and the air goes through this and the dust particles get covered. So this is like, if you have 10,000 layers of these fibers, glass fibers, you can imagine how thick stuff will be. And obviously air has to be sucked through it. And once that is done, So that is called HEPA filtration. That's the technology you want. Second, look at what size particles. Remember this, what I told you, this is PM 2.5, this is typically the cheap air purifiers will remove this. So you will not get sneezing and you'll feel better, but it will not do anything for your survival. See, this is the band where your survival is going to be affected, this range, the yellow one. So these air purifiers will do nothing. Then comes the technology which is used, and there are most of the good quality air purifiers come in this. This is HEPA, and all the hospitals use it, and this. As you can see, it will not protect you from dying. It will protect you from, look at this. This is bacteria. You can see this is the size. The red band shows the typical size of the bacteria. So this is bacteria. Its smallest bacteria is this. This is biggest bacteria. It will, for example, smallest bacteria, and this is the largest virus. So if you have a HEPA filter, you will not be able to remove virus at all. It will do nothing to COVID, nothing. You cannot remove any virus, and COVID is a virus. It's not a bacteria. So it will remove all the bacteria, but no viruses can be removed by HEPA. And so car emissions you will fully remove, but you will not remove a large part of tobacco smoke, because that's the band you can see, right? And so you need to go for higher technology. It's called super HEPA, and super HEPA is, there is no word like this. Super HEPA is better than HEPA. So super HEPA technology, if you use, you can remove all the particles. And then comes the cleaning capacity rate, but it should be in that order. You should have the right technology. Then you should remove the enemy. If it protects only the bull, I won't allow the bull to come in. You should run away from there. I don't want that fence, society fence, because बैल अंदर आएगा तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? I want to protect against a mosquito. That's my enemy. So enemy you want to protect. And then finally the capacity, how much you will protect the air. So 200 meters per square. So this is just a rule for people to know. Typically 100 square foot room will have one air conditioner, 1 ton air conditioner. Similarly, you need 100 meter cube per hour. Now in USA and all, there is a different rating. It's called, there is, CFM, cubic feet per minute. And that conversion is a little different. It's, you have to multiply it by 1.55. But if you are in USA, you just check the USA CADR. This is India CADR. And so 100 square foot room, you need typically 100 CADR. 200 square foot room, you need 200 CADR. That's the capacity of the machine. That's how you should do. And so this is a summary. You should use HEPA technology. You must be able to clean from 5 nanometers to 30 nanometers. If you don't want to die because of inflammation, heart attack, stroke, and the world doesn't know this, world is protecting you, trying to protect you from those bulls and cows and buffaloes, and your enemy is mosquitoes and cockroaches. So not even cockroaches, maybe, smaller versions of mosquitoes, some ticks. And finally, CADR will be probably same as your room size. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share on air pollution and all these things. I believe that if you use air, most of us are indoors, most of us are in controlled air. We are not, let's not worry about what happens to India Gate and can we see Taj Mahal in clean air. Let's worry about how we can protect ourselves. I've been using air purifiers for 4 years. In my house, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in the house. And right now in my house, there are 3, 4 actually, 1 big machine and 2 small. And then I have 1 in my other house. So 5, you can say. But if there are a couple of people who have used, I think, Trupta has used in her house.
Yeah, Madhur.
Trupta, you want to share a little bit?
Yes. See, we took a very informed decision and finally settled down with Atmosphere Mini, and then we bought multiple units. So when my husband is training and he prefers to keep it on so that his throat and his all, it doesn't get tired. Let alone that, my mother, who's been bedridden for last 2 years, she's very precious. And the coronavirus came, plus we didn't want any lung infections or anything happening because she has constant nursing care. So this unit Mini is continuously running under her bed, and the air is as clean as, like you say, na Switzerland jaisi hawa. So she's in a very, very good space as far as fighting the small virus infections. So I think it is a blessing for us also to be able to sleep in clean air. Our daughter also sleeps with the purifier on, and we can keep ACs on if we want, or the fan on, but we are getting a fresher every day. The sleep is really good.
See, actually, Trupta, what you noticed is even scientifically logical. If there are pollutants, your lungs have to breathe a little harder to get the same amount of required air, right? It's polluted air doesn't give you the full whatever your lungs need, and so you're always breathing 2% extra. It's almost like 24 hours. If you walk slowly, you are going to get tired. So that slow stuff causes that little bit of fatigue because it's over a period of time. It's quite logic. Maybe I'll ask Mr. Nikam also. Nikam sir, what I'm going to do is, sorry, I was requested earlier by lots of people that I should speak Hindi, but kabhi badbad mein main jara zyada English bol deta hu. I want some Hindi also. Otherwise, some people feel ke yaar ye you're making it just too techy talk. So thoda sa Nikam sir, I will request you, because you are good in Hindi also. You speak Hindi if possible, but you can say English also. Yeah.
मैं कोशिश करूंगा हिंदी में बोलने के लिए. मेरी
अरे
आवाज
बाप रे, इतना हेवी हिंदी मत बोलना, थोड़ा चलेगा इंग्लिश भी.
तो रियली गुड. मतलब 2 साल पहले मैंने ये यूनिट डेमो के तौर पे देखा था मेरे घर पे, एंड उसी टाइम वो मेजरमेंट भी मैंने देखा था जो मेरे हाउस में अराउंड 195 इट वाज शोइंग, उसी समय दिखा रहा था. एंड उसका कारण मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं तो पनवेल में रहता हूँ, एंड इट इज एग्जैक्टली अपोजिट टू जहाँ पे नया एयरपोर्ट आ रहा है, उसका बहुत बड़ा काम चालू है. यू कैन इमेजिन पूरे जो माउंटेन्स थे उसने पूरा डिसमेंटल करके, तो इतना पोल्यूशन, इतना डस्ट था. तो दैट काउंट वाज अराउंड 195, एंड वो मशीन हमने चला के देखा उसी दिन घर पे, तो इट केम डाउन टू 4 व्हाट द जो मीटर पे दिखा रहे थे, और उसका लिस्ट काउंट है 4, इसके लिए 4 ही दिखा रहा था, मतलब उससे भी कम हो सकता है. तो मुझे इतना अच्छा लगा, तो इमीडिएटली मैंने बाय किया 2 साल पहले. और मेरे मिसेस को टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम जैसे नींद होने के बाद जब भी उठती तो स्नीजिंग वगैरह होता था, लेकिन जब से हमने यूनिट लगाया है तो इट इज गिविंग वेरी गुड रिजल्ट. मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ कि हमारे घर में अभी 3 मेंबर है, तो 6 लंग है हमारे, 3 आदमी का 6 लंग करे, तो ये मैंने 7वां लंग बाय किया है. सो व्हाट एवर पोल्यूशन इज देयर, दिस मशीन विल कैप्चर, so that this lung can be damaged. उसका फिल्टर 1 साल में बाद में चेंज करेंगे, अगेन इट विल वर्क. तो एटलीस्ट हमारी बाकी 6 लंग है वो प्रोटेक्टेड रहेंगे. तो मेरा इतना ही कहना है, इट इज अ बेस्ट इन इन्वेस्टमेंट. इनफैक्ट आई एम लुकिंग फॉर अनदर टू बाय टू कीप इन माय सन्स रूम नाउ.
So just now that you said lungs and all, I took out the filter from my air. Look at how dirty it is. See, it's like, this is, I mean, I don't think I can show you this. This is dirt. And see, the sad part is, this is super fine dirt. This is what you're seeing outside is actually the big dirt. The real small dirt is captured inside. And to think of it, it was, I would have been breathing this air is just a very scary thought. So over a period of time, this is that carbon we saw. So obviously we can't see anything here. So this is pretty much the dirt. I just took out the filter. This is not air purifier. This is the filter of this. So after a year, we just discard it. So that's the way it goes. And generally, it's like the water filter ka candle kaisa we throw away. So similarly, that kind of stuff we do.
मधुर सर, और थोड़ा मैं ऐड करना चाहता हूँ. आप जैसे ये बताया, तो एक दिन मैं उसको क्लीन कर रहा था, एंड सेम टाइम मेरा एक फ्रेंड आया जो एक बहुत बड़े कंपनी से कॉर्पोरेट सेफ्टी की पोजीशन से वो रिटायर हो गया था. तो उसको ये मशीन देखना था, और वो उसी टाइम आया जब भी मैं फिल्टर क्लीन कर रहा था. और उसने जो देखा, जो डस्ट डिपॉजिट हो गया था, मैं उसको पूरा दिखाया कि इसका कैसा साफ करते हैं, एंड ही वाज शॉक्ड. शिवप्रसाद सर, इतना डस्ट हम लोग इनहेल कर सकते थे? एंड ही इमीडिएटली उसने देखा कि दिस इज रियली इफेक्टिव. नेक्स्ट डे ही बॉट दिस मशीन फॉर हिज सन, और जैसे उसने लगाया घर पे, अभी भी बोलता है शिवप्रसाद थैंक, मैं उस दिन घर पे आया और मेरा बेटे का जो प्रॉब्लम था कंप्लीटली बंद हो गया अभी ये मशीन लगाने के बाद. सो यू कैन इमेजिन व्हाट प्राइस टैग वी कैन पुट फॉर दिस if it is going to improve the health of all family members.
Yeah, see, that is one very interesting thing, because many times in all the meetings we have talked about health and all that, and in that most of the strategies you have to do individually. Everyone has to do it. Like you don't eat oil or you don't eat sugary stuff. You have to do it. Your wife has to do it. Your parents have to do it. Your children have to do it. Everyone has to do that. So whatever you do cannot have implications for other people, right? Whereas here, I like the idea that it's you do it and it's just everybody in the family benefits. I think it's a cool idea. I'm just trying to, in fact, get a slide to show. The other day somebody asked me, "Arey, tu just show me." So this was the picture. Let me see if I have this picture on. Let me see if I can show you. This is the, yeah. Let me see if I can load this. Give me a second. Yeah. See this. This is the picture. He wanted to see on the left is a screen of the new filter. Okay, this is how the filter looks. And on the left is on the right is the new one, and on the left is this dusty filter. This is the whole dirt. And this you can imagine a 1 inch thick filter. So uske everything, all the viruses, bacteria, everything gets captured, and we generally throw. But forget the air purifier specifically. Understand that air pollution is something we need to address. So that was my main point. The rest of it is obviously